First thing I do when I climb my stand is bow my head and thank the man. And while I'm waiting on daybreak, I feel my heart race. Up here on Whitetail Ridge, we know how to hunt, we know how to fish. We love our country, we love this land, and we're proud to be free. From the ground we plow, the stands we hang, we believe a man should pull his weight. We know what real hunting really is. Up on Whitetail Ridge.
We're heading out this Saturday. We're going to go to the Mobile Hunter Expo there in Ohio. Are you going to be heading out there this weekend?
Yeah, I'll be there with the Timber Ninja booth Saturday,
Okay.
Sunday. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's kind of the reason I was going to go out there. I've been trying to talk a little bit to Bo about them, because I know he's big with them, and I had used a little bit of XOP stuff about 2 years ago. Wasn't exactly happy with the saddles. They weren't that comfortable. And then I've always seen Bo like advertise the dual panel and talk about how comfortable they are. So I kind of talked to him a little bit. Maybe we worked out a little bit of a deal that I could get one. I bought the new one, the not the deluxe one or whatever it's called, just the regular. What are they calling it? I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah, he's gonna brief me in on like when I get there, because I don't, they made some new products. I still have the Ultimate, which I hunt in it all day. It's comfortable. So
Awesome.
I think they made a couple other products. So we're gonna see what sticks in the platform. So
yeah.
I'm anxious to see what you got going on here.
Yeah, I can't wait to get mine. I was hoping it was gonna be here before the show, because I was part of the deal was we were gonna do like a video on testing it and posting it on our YouTube channel and kind of advertising a little bit for them and stuff. But at least I get to try it at the show, so I'm pretty happy about that. I'm bringing my cameraman with me. He's never saddle hunted before, so he's getting the gear and stuff. So I'm trying to help him get his gear and stuff and all that, and hopefully we can test some stuff out at the show and stuff. But everybody else, welcome to the podcast. If you haven't noticed, I'm talking to Mr. Johnny Stewart. If you guys have seen East Meets West, or some of the guys on Wired to Hunt podcast, I listened to you a couple weeks ago on that. That was a really good podcast. But today we're going to talk about, I know your big thing is scouting. Like you're a big educator on that. So I have a few questions I've written down on my lunch break today. I was thinking a lot of it about what I wanted to talk about tonight. And the big picture I wanted to talk about was, how does your scouting strategy shift once you're this close to the opener and pretty much like down to like 2 months or even a month to the season?
Well, right now the daylight is getting shorter, and I do believe these bucks are starting to tune into hunting pressure, whether it's scouting or just looking forward to hunting season, and just knowing that humans are going to be in the woods hunting and stuff like that. So I try to have most of my scouting, my spots for so I'm probably not going to hunt much early September here. I might do some hunting in Maryland, but that's if I have time. But mainly it's going to be end of September. So I'm still about a month out from my hunting.
Yeah, like most of us here in PA.
Yeah, here in PA. So most of my cams out right now are for the first 7 to 10 days of hunting. Like what activity I believe is going to happen, where they're going to be, that's where my cameras are. Then I'll start moving them more to scrapes or where does or whatever I feel like the next step is for the deer that I'm hunting. So right now it's based off of like maybe some summertime feeding, which in PA, the big woods I hunt a lot is browse, cuts. Also, the cherries will start falling, or beech nuts this year is going to be good in some areas if you have them.
Acorns are looking amazing this year too.
Yeah, your mast crop, your acorns. So, and now's the time that like, I'd say you got to me, in my opinion, after September, I really don't want to be in the woods. I want to be done,
Yeah.
and I just wanted to cool down. Because right now and into the first week of September, you could see acorns, whether it's reds or whites. Find those whites, get your cameras on them. I don't use any cell cams. Um, so I probably got 45 cameras out in a few states that are all for that first 10-day grind. And a lot of it's previous knowledge of the area where I've hunted in the past. Certain bucks that I know are alive, kind of, I'm always tracking certain bucks throughout their life. You know, a lot of these deer live to 8 years old. Like a couple of them I've been after for 2, 3 years, or I'm even picking up a new area, maybe a new deer. And so, and I'm asking myself, where's my best opportunity for the deer based off of, you know, the food selection and stuff like that, you know. But yeah, all my cameras are out running on either, and if I have cameras running in a summer, that are browse areas only, I'll kind of leave those there, but I'll evaluate if they need to be transferred to maybe a cherries or a beach, you know, some type of mast that's going to produce. So like now I did this weekend, that's what I did. I moved some into some oaks, and I'm going to the mobile hunters this weekend. So I'll have another weekend, I got about 2 or 3 days left that I need to be in the woods, um, putting cameras on oaks, and then that's it. Basically, summertime feeding, bedding, springs, water, a lot of variety, and also mass crop. This is where my cameras are right now, and I stay out of it because I know as the daylight, like I notice it, the
Yeah.
days the locusts turn out,
Yeah.
they notice it. They know they're looking ahead. I know hunting season's coming. They know hunting season's coming. So try to limit your time in the woods when you are scouting, and how intrusive you are and the scent you're leaving. I feel like a lot of that should have been done, but there are always new areas that I'm constantly exploring that
Yeah.
I might bump deer, but I'm learning for future, and I already have a bunch of other areas that I can hunt if I do bump deer in these certain areas.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah. You answered a lot of my questions that I had written down. You were talking about, staying out of there because I was asked, like, are you still boots on the ground or more cautious, like, especially to avoid the pressure for them? And then you said that your trail cameras, you don't have any cell cameras. Um, how much weight do you put on your trail camera pictures from like this time of year than earlier in the summer?
I think this time, yeah, this right now in the September's more important. It's inventory early in the summer. Um, I'll leave them out, but the cameras, some of the areas that I go to and put cameras out for the summer, some of them areas are areas I can't get to until hunting season. So they're actually in areas that might not even be good in the summer. It's that, end of September, October timeframe, because all my cameras right now are based off of that
Okay.
10-day, went to 2 week. But yeah, they're all soaking in summer, but in a browse area, clear cuts net, there's still, some deer are gonna still be feeding there, so
Right.
it's mainly summertime's inventory.
Okay.
I feel like all the cameras I did put, there'll be a few I'll throw out just to see maybe a bachelor group of bucks are living, feeding in this area, maybe a new area, but most of them are that, because with my work schedule, I don't
Yeah.
get time. A lot of the springtime cameras I put out I'm still looking for that mass crop drop, or where they're going to be living at the end of September, October. So like that's, and then once I get to the end of the season, like the end of September, October, I'll start pulling a lot of cameras. I think last year I pulled over half of them, and I just start hunting. But I will keep scouting throughout the season. I know a lot of early season, more morning and evening. So there's some daytime stuff that I'm going to be on a hoof looking for maybe a mass crop or a new area or a scrape that pops up or rubs or putting pieces of the puzzle together and still having an area that I plan on hunting maybe that evening or that morning, but always pursuing other opportunities through the season, but being also aggressive, getting in tight
Yeah.
to them, and having enough. It's not like I'll have 5 spots that I can know I need to get in tight to them, and a lot of times I'll ruin them and I just move on. Like I'll
Right.
just go to the next spot, go to the next spot, and just start like I have enough spots lined up that I can do that.
Yeah. Do you worry any at all about like bucks shifting once the acorns start dropping? Or is that something you worry about, or are you just still keying in on your browse spots?
No, definitely acorns. Like my cameras are in mass locations now. I have,
Just
like I
waiting for
said,
them
this
to drop.
weekend. Yeah, and actually some whites are starting to drop. You get a little bit of a rainstorm wind. I've noticed
Yep.
blue jays are picking on them. Squirrels are starting. Some are falling on the ground. I even noticed a couple of deer in on some red oaks already. So,
Yeah.
especially further north. So now's the time you need your, like I said, there's a couple spots that I need to get cameras and oaks, and I wish I would have had them already. But it is what it is. I'm hoping they're still. And then I'll try to go in like midday when it's hot. Maybe they're not actually actively feeding in them oaks here in end of August, early September. And I mean, I love checking cameras, but and I have enough of them that I'll have some closer to the road I could check.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
as I'm just exciting, see what's on inventory, see what's on your cameras. But a lot of them, I just don't even want to mess with, and
When you
I'll
go
go
hunt it,
in.
you'll check it.
No, prior to my hunt, like I
Okay.
want to know what's there. A lot of
Right.
times I'll go in at nighttime. A lot of nighttime
Really?
camera checks. Yeah. Like I get to a state, first thing I do, I'll wait till after dark and I go check my cameras because I don't want to disturb them because I'm gonna be hunting in the daylight. I'd rather
Right.
disturb them at night.
That way they can't
Check my
see you
camera.
really or smell you as much.
They don't too much care about nighttime human activity. It's not nothing that ever
Why do you
they're
think that
worried.
is?
Just I think the way the history is, like nobody, they associate hunters and humans as predators, but and all the smells, all the people that are hunting is daytime. It's danger daytime.
Yeah.
Cars. It's
Yeah.
like I've walked up on deer at nighttime. It's
Yeah.
nothing that they've learned to be afraid of.
It's like
I mean,
walking in. It's like walking in early in the morning. Sometimes you'll, step by, a doe or whatever in her bed and she won't move because, it's dark maybe. And I've heard that before
yeah,
too. Like
yeah.
with the
And when I
whole
do my
headlamp discussion, which is a whole different rabbit hole. But, people are like, yeah, they don't really, if you're going in early enough, it's not as
Yeah, I
big.
feel like an hour before light is when you're good.
Yeah.
So I'm not gray light. That's spooky. An hour
They're
before
moving a
light
lot
you can
then.
get in. The noise, the sound of a human walking. It's like they turn their brains off to humans at nighttime. It's like it's just another creature in the woods because
Yeah.
they're never bothered by humans in a woods. So a lot of my cameras, I'll check. I'll get there and say I'm going to West Virginia. I mean, I'll go. Not all of them. Some of them might be way back in the woods and that. And you just got to evaluate your cameras. Can I get to them without? You're not going to go check a camera and blow out your hunting area. That
Right.
you're not going to do that. So either going to wait for the wind or maybe midday. I think I can get in there, or maybe there's a rain, or I can get to that camera safely
Those are my two
and
favorite. When it
check it.
rains and midday, those are my two favorite times to go check them. I mean,
Yeah, and
I
then
know
like I
people say,
said,
like, they move at midday, but I mean, I'm sure not as much. Obviously, like they're bedding down a little bit, like in the midday, I guess. From what I've read a little bit and observed myself, they're so that and the rain. I like going to check my cameras. I have a few cell cameras,
yeah,
but one of the curses of living in Pennsylvania with not good cell reception is, you have to have
yeah,
a lot of non-cells. I have probably 3 cell cameras out and like 4 or 5 regular cameras out, which I I have I like having the cell cam option because I have a lot of places that are like 35, 40 minutes away to hunt that I just don't want to waste the gas to go out there. And then I have a lot of like, I live right next to, like behind my house, I have, I think it's like 10,000 acres of public land. And so I have like a good 4 or 5 cameras right basically over the hill of my house that I can, just go check any weekend or whatever, if I get home or whatever. So it's nice to have that. Like, it's nice, like, even like growing up when I had these cameras, like it's the excitement of like getting there and like pulling that SD card out. It's like, all right, what do I got on here? Whereas now, I wake up, look at my phone, good, they're still there, type of thing. The excitement's not as fun as going into the woods, and plus it gives you an excuse to get in there and scout and all that. I like that aspect too.
Yeah.
So it's a pro con thing. I like both of them. So, what are you like at the beginning of the season? Are you keying in on more bedding, food, or travel?
Probably food. That's the time that they're before the rut and they start thinking about does. That's when they're packing on the calories, and if you can get a massed area, I mean, it could be an all day hunt. I mean, who knows? He could be bedded close and eat feeding because it's really important to build up their body weight for the rut. So
Yeah.
food is king. Definitely finding springs close by, water, cooler areas too, because you might be hunting when it's pushing 80 degrees and they have a winter coat on now. So
Yeah.
that take that in consideration with these bigger mature deer for sure.
One thing I learned a lot last year, listening to Bo and other people talk about is thermals. Like growing up, I'd never heard of that. And it like totally made sense for me, like watching the cameras. I could tell like the difference, like when they would change, like where they would be picture wise on my cameras and stuff. So that was kind of cool to see like the information I heard with real time data. Um, you're talking about like being where when it gets hot and stuff like that, like where they're going to be lower. It just like it all clicked in with me last year thinking about that with it being warmer, closer to the creeks in the evening or afternoon or like that. So that was I thought of that when you had said that about the creeks. What's the biggest mistake you'd say hunters make scouting this close to the season?
Probably just educating the deer. I know I've done it, but a lot, like I'm always wanting to know what's going on out there in the deer woods, and that's um, being in the woods, learning. And I know there's times that I've hurt my hunt because I wanted to know what was going on, but I'd rather know than not know and guess. But yeah, being in the woods, you're leaving scent. It's already starting the games, but they're already. I always used to look at it like they already know hunting season's coming. They already know humans. They're already going to make a transition in a pressured area with a lot of hunting pressure without, they're already with the shorter days and hunting season coming, they're ready for it. So sometimes I look at it, I'm just an optimistic person where it's like, okay, I bumped him, da da da. It's all right. I know where he wants to be. At least I know this area, and he knows I'm here. But now I can keep working on to his next move because he knows he knows hunting season is there. So
Yeah.
But if you can stay out the longer, if you know all the stuff you need to know from previous years or spring scouting or hunting the same deer for 3 years, and you start fine tuning where he wants to live, a mature animal, it helps to stay out of his area, let him feel more comfortable. He can move a lot more than the deer that you put a little pressure on. But I'd rather know what's going on, especially like last year I was hunting a big deer and there was a lot of blank spaces, like what I knew about him. So I was going into some new areas and I bumped him and I was parking like I educated him, but I knew a couple areas he would go to, and I had cameras there. And then I wasn't seeing him enough, but I have other deer that I could hunt, so I moved on and I hunted elsewhere. But come full circle 1 year now,
I got you.
I'm staying out of that area. I put cameras there in like July, and he wasn't in there, so
I got you.
there's this chance.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I
I
think your
don't
camera
bother
got
him.
tilted a little bit.
Oh,
Is that good?
up or down?
Uh,
Good.
oh, there. That's good.
More?
That's good right there. Yep. That
Okay.
last half, I was getting half your face. I was trying to get it there,
Oh,
but
okay.
you're good now. Do you worry about like like I had a buck last year, really nice 10 point. And I had him on camera consistently. Like he was coming in once or twice a week, all through August, all through September, and then the week right before the season, he just disappeared. Would you say that like late season, like later summer bucks are easier to pattern, or would you say they're more vulnerable to change?
Um, I think it depends. There are easier to pattern, like if you compare it to the rut, like it's a time that, they're still in summer type feeding, somewhat bachelor group, and not really uh, breaking up and high testosterone and looking for does, and food is king. So it might be a slight transition, like to like a mast crop or something like that. Um, but I'd say it's bedding and feeding a lot, bedding close to the feeding, not traveling looking for does or looking marking territory or stuff like that. I think it's easy when you get to that bed to food thing, like a late season hunting. That's all it is, late season. So
Yeah.
yeah, you have a better chance than when you get into like your October 25th, 28th. Then you could have a pattern if it's a deer that you have previous knowledge of, where he was looking for does or hitting certain scrapes, if the does are still there. And then as you get into the rut, it's harder to pattern a deer, and it's a lot of luck. I don't believe in luck, but a lot of time in a tree, and the hot doe comes by and him looking for it, stuff like that.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I got like, I think it's about 6 or 7 in this one bachelor group. I mean, there's some hammers in there. After the podcast, I'll have to send you some pictures. There's some big ones, but they're coming in like 3, 4, between 2 and 4. They're coming in, and then like they're pretty consistent, like maybe every other day. And I'm thinking, like right now, I'm thinking, okay, well maybe it's because of how warm it is and stuff like that. Like they're coming into there's like a big open woods timber where there's a lot of oaks and stuff. They haven't, like a few have dropped, but not a whole lot. And I have like a small food plot right off of that. And then there's like an open field. And then behind them is doe bedding and like public land. So it's like right on the border of it. And so they've been coming through my food plot. And I think it's hard to tell from the camera, but I think they're coming off the oaks, off the bedding and the big timber, hitting the food plot and then going towards the field to the other side of public or something like that. So I'm hoping that like with daylight changing and stuff like that, and it getting cooler, that I might eventually start to see them. But I won't be disappointed because I know like once their antlers start getting hard, like everything starts changing, and I'm sure they'll like go to a different I put them to a different like different core area for a while, and then because like last year that's what happened to me. I shot a buck that I had seen all summer long. It disappeared, and then the first 2 weeks in November he came back, and I was able to shoot him. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm trying to be optimistic. Like, okay, if I don't see him in October, I'm sure they'll be back, because this, they know that this is their. I feel like this is their summer, their summer. What do you call it? Summer feeding ground or whatever. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping that's might what happen. I would love to kill him early. It'd be awesome. Like my goal every year is to try to get one before Thanksgiving. I just feel a lot better.
Mhm.
That way I save my doe tags for rifle season and late season and um, for stuff like that. Um, I want to talk a little bit about terrain and habitat. In the big woods, what sign or terrain feature do you like put most of your weight on this close to, like that you like to scout this close to the season?
Probably like points or hubs that, a lot happening, especially a few points. Um, Leeward if you can, but yeah, just a lot happening in the terrain. Um, Especially if there's not a lot of hunting pressure, like big woods. And then, but when you talk about points, some points on mountains in PA are so broad and round you can't, and
Yeah,
I think of some points in other states are just you can sit and shoot off the front, off each side, so
yeah,
um but leeward off the tops, the deer, I think bucks, especially if it's a constant wind that they can live with, that they know is happening. They'll be downwind of that, so they can smell. Usually, for lower elevation, they can smell what's up higher. Um, but yeah, with terrain, the more terrain, the easier it is also for them to get away if you get into hunting season and pressure is an issue.
yeah,
But finding, like and with thermals or wind direction, if it's a pretty much constant thing that they could take to the bank, they'll live based off of that. So find your like on Spartan Forge, I'm always looking at the historical
yeah.
wind map and looking at October first thing, like boom, what's the weather usually doing? Okay, so this is how the deer are going to live based off of this wind direction. So
Do you look at that a lot when you're like setting a stand up? Like if you're setting a stand up right now, I guess this would be like a two-part question, but like when you're setting the stand up, like say like in September, if you're putting one up, are you like making looking at Spartan Forge for like the wind, like historical, like which way you want to set it, and then also, if you're setting up a stand that late, is it more for like an early season spot or more like a rut spot? Are you thinking that like that late in the summer when you're setting the stand?
like I'd be thinking probably like early season, wanting to get a stand in so you're not hanging a stand like for morning or an evening hunt and making noise.
Yeah,
A lot of my hunts are morning. When rut comes, I'm not too worried about because a deer could come from a mile away. So I'm not really hanging stands in September for the rut.
okay,
I'd probably just go in with a mobile setup
yeah,
and get in a tree. So yeah, the stands I'd be hanging out are for early season. Um, a lot of times I'm mobile with my saddle and platform, but there are a few times I'll set up stands when, like, I did. I'm going to set one up here in PA, in those oaks, because in one spot that's oaks, it's I'm going to hunt there early season. I might hunt there before light, get in the tree, so I'll have something already set. But um, definitely looking at the wind map, and it's east west hollow I have in the morning the thermals are like like the situation is I'm on the north slope, maybe 100-foot elevation up from the creek. So to me the thermals are more of like if water's flowing out of the east, it's more of like a 45-degree angle that the thermals are pulling. So I know that. I mean, I don't. It's good to go in like before light one morning and drop your floaters, but
yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's going to be not definitely not always perpendicular to the topo lines, but more of like a little bit of an angle because it's kind of like a vacuum. How it's just all the north and south slopes might be being drawn
right,
slightly by the creek, as long they're especially down lower, like 100 foot above. You don't have there might be winds at night, but chances are that low, cooler things are going to stay low and that. So I'm taking that into consideration and just going to be constantly. I can't yeah, if a west wind comes, it's gonna, at some point, it's gonna probably go up the hollow. Um, and somehow it'll work with the thermals, and I just gotta know that like the deer aren't gonna be on my downwind side, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And if things aren't looking good, I'm gonna get down and leave.
right.
And having a lot of, if you can have a lot of spots set up for um, different wind directions, or if something changes and that's no good, you can get out and back out.
Yeah,
Don't ruin your spot.
that's what I
And
love
it's
about
something,
mobile hunting is
yeah,
having that
when you're
option.
sitting there, you gotta really ask yourself a lot of questions. Be optimistic, but be realistic on what's going on in your situation. So you're sitting there, and you might be on your third day of hunting that spot, and you're like, man, I haven't seen him? Did I bump him?
Yeah,
Okay, I bumped the deer on the way in. Maybe that was him. Did I leave too much scent?
yeah,
So you got to really, sometimes you don't know the answer, but you could say, like, well, that deer I jumped, like, think about everything that's going on. Like, it sounded like a light deer, it wasn't a heavy hoof deer. Maybe that ain't him. Maybe it snorted, but that's not always a big deal before daylight. The wind's been all right. I don't, maybe I just need to wait a couple more days for him to come in. So it's kind of like you got to weigh your options, but don't be pessimist about it to where it's like, oh, I bumped that deer and the wind went that way one time. Be like, give it some time. Be optimistic. I'm here for a reason. I think this deer likes feeding here. Let's give it another day. Keep checking your cameras.
yeah,
Because it might be like a rotation to where I know they say sometimes deer will feed on oaks, like kind of get enough of that, especially like in September when they start falling. It might like gorge themselves for 4 or 5 days. Then I hear they'll transition to another food source.
yeah,
Um, if
yeah,
if that's present, it's not always okay. The oaks are there. He's going to be there 24/7 for the next 12 days. Like that usually doesn't happen in the big woods. They're
right.
going to seek out some other. I mean, yeah, if that's the only food, yeah, maybe, but chances are there's more for them.
Yeah,
So it might take time. And do your best to get in on your, like, don't cut any corners. But you're always walking a fine line when you get into your hunting spot, whether you're, you know, bumping deer or you're leaving some scent or make some too much noise. That all will come into play, but you got to ask yourself and be real with yourself. And if it's like the balance scale, and you weigh this side and you weigh that side, whatever you know ends up being more, that's the maybe helps you decide what to do.
yeah,
So that's a big thing when you're out there, like, but
yeah,
always be thinking it when you see deer, like, evaluate your hunt all the time and write it down. Like in Spartan Forge, you got a journal. It's the best
yeah,
feature, and there's a ton of great features, but write it down. Snuck in, went down a hill, jumped a doe. The wind been good. It's shifted to 10, didn't see any deer. And then you have all this written down and be like, I think, I think I bumped him, or maybe he ain't there. Let's keep hunting. But like I said, to do, you gotta, when getting into your areas, you gotta be really careful, do everything. It's like walking a tightrope. Um, but the easier access you have, first of all, you want to find a deer that you can hunt. Some deer and some spots are easier to hunt than others, whether it's access or just the predictability about that animal. Um, just you keep scouting and learning new areas. Like I have one area that's a constant southwest wind on a flat, and it's like I can kill. It's easy access. You could sit there. The wind's always right. It's downwind of a thicket. But you don't always have those situations. Some of them might be tougher to get into. Um, but the more spots you find, the more deer you hunt, you can find the easier ones to get into. And then it's just it's great. Just make your decision on what you want to hunt. Maybe it's the bigger buck you want to hunt. It might be a little tougher, unpredictable, or maybe you just want to get a deer. And this seems like the spot. I think I can just harvest an animal.
yeah. I have a
So
lot of those spots.
yeah,
a lot of get some freezer queens, and a lot of those spots are pretty. I have a lot of those spots. The buck spots are the fun ones that I'm trying to find. Have you ever done? I was thinking about doing this just because, like, with my camera right now, it's hard to see where they're coming from based on where it's at, like where they're coming and where they're going, based on my angle. And I've tried to fix the camera at different positions, but I can't get it 100%. But have you ever done like a preset before hunting season, like sat in the tree that you were planning on hunting out of opening day or the day you're going to hunt it, like before season, like without a, obviously without like a weapon or anything like that, just sat in there and observed before? Or have you, or is that something that you would say that might risk the deer bumping them out of there and not being there?
Yeah, I don't wanna go in there and put scent in there. I'll go in there to hunt when the time's right.
Okay.
I mean, I have sat back off the spot that I wanna hunt, like during the season, like, man, I wanna get there, but the wind's not perfect. I'm gonna sit back here 100 yards and observe, maybe see a deer. I'm still in the game, but I'm not
Yeah.
gonna go sit in a tree and
Probably do more
potentially have a deer.
glassing than anything. Like, I've been thinking about doing that too, because it's like right near a cornfield. I could probably like, sit in the corn, or not in the corn, maybe even my truck off the road and just glass from the road and just check that spot out and see where they're coming over and stuff like that. Because just trying to like I'm trying to figure out where to put my stand. Like I like to put in before opening day. I like to put in my sticks. That way, all I gotta do is climb the tree with my saddle and hang my gear, and I'm good to go. Whereas, especially with taking a new timer to saddle hunting on my camera guy, like it would be nice to have like both of our sticks set up. So I was thinking maybe observe it sometime just to see which way they're coming that way, because he's going to bring his bow so he can shoot just in case he gets a deer on his side. So that way we know where to set up in the tree, which side and stuff like that. So that's what I was thinking. I wanted to hear your take on it. If you thought that was like, if that's too risky.
Yeah, like most of the area, not many areas I hunt have ag, and it's all big woods. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll go in and hunt, check cameras and hunt, and usually I know just from Spartan Forge maps and historical data, kind of where the deer are,
Yeah.
kind of maybe bedding and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
I'm
not
just
where the area is at. It's not real. Like there's hardly any ag. Literally, it's like the top of a mountain, and like there it used to be like the last 2 years they did corn in it, but then the 2 years prior to that, and I believe this year they're not doing corn in it. So like they trade off and on. And I remember the year that I hunted it that it didn't have corn on it. It was really tough because like when it had corn, it was pretty much predictable where they were going to go. Like they bedded in there, and then they came out like in the morning and started going to like the big woods and stuff like that. So it was easy to kind of like just sit on the edge of the corn and wait for them to come out. Whereas the years that it didn't have corn, like this year and the year prior, they they used it, and it had a lot of like browse in the field and stuff. So that was kind of nice to hunt that too. And they used it a lot as cover, making their way to the big woods. So I've been just trying to keep my cameras like closer to the food and the travel routes. We found a really good spot last weekend. We were scouting to a spot nearby it, and it had like 3 or 4 trails come together to a community scrape. And so we put a camera right there. There were some oaks all around it starting to drop. So already like in the last 2 days, I've had a couple bucks come on different trails and stuff like that. So I think it'll be a good spot. We'll see when they lose their velvet where it'll be. But yeah, you kind of answered my question for me about watching, like observing them from a distance would probably be better than having like a sit. Cause like when I first started hunting back when I was like in my teens, I did an observation sit in my stand, and I blew like 20 does out of my spot. And it like for the first 3 weeks of October, there was nothing. And then like towards the end of October, they started coming back and stuff. But yeah, it was I was just a young kid, and I was like, let's see some deer. Like, let's see if it's a good spot. And it was a good spot, but not after that. So,
yeah.
I have two last questions for you. It's starting to get dark out here, so I'm going to wrap it up here and let you get your evening back, because I'm sure you're tired from your work today. And but if someone was listening and they have one weekend before the season to scout and stuff, what is the most single effective thing they can do to boost their odds for opening day?
Probably find a food source that are going to be hitting. I mean, I could say rubs and that tells you there's deer there, but man, find where they're feeding or where they're going to be feeding that first week. Usually try to find a mast area. And if that's not possible, whatever food source you think that they would be feeding on, that's start there as far as cameras or scouting. Yeah, I'd say that's food is going to be your number one thing to focus on.
Okay. And then last question, what would you tell a brand new hunter who's stressing out right now? I've been in this place before. I don't have a spot picked out yet, or nailed down yet this close to the season. What does a new hunter need to do to narrow down a good spot and increase their odds for opening week?
Just keep scouting. I think there's times, even last year, I got all my cameras and I know a lot. I didn't kill my first deer till November 17th, and that's not what I had planned. The areas I planned, prepared for, whether one was logged or sprayed out by herbicide, or hunters moved in, or the deer weren't there, or the mast wasn't there, or someone stole your camera. Like, it's like every spot I went to in a plan, like I was sitting there the first week of October with no real plan after scouting all year or previous years. And so I kept scouting and found hot, fresh sign, which, ask yourself, what's the odds of seeing a deer or killing a deer? Be honest with yourself. Man, I don't got a good chance. Well, then don't sit there.
Yeah.
Go find that spot, but take into consideration where the deer are, where they're bedding, where the wind's blowing. They're usually downwind of like a food source. Be careful when you're checking that food source, because if you're in there and your wind's, then you already ruined it. So, or don't spend a lot of time in there. Be aware of what you're doing, the scent you're putting out there, or drop a camera. Maybe you want to wait a week or so to hunt there, or like if the wind's, maybe you don't want to you see there's deer sign, there's acorns, like, and the wind's going maybe to an area, don't just stay from a distance. Oh, there's acorns, I see squirrels, I see deer shit. So don't, like, if you think the deer's maybe he's bedded downwind to that spot, but always scout, and that's probably your best bet. All the way up through the season. If you ask yourself, and if your answer is like, I'm not confident about this spot, get down and walk, hike.
Yep.
See where hunters are, find where they aren't. You're going to find more deer.
Yeah.
Because a lot of guys do the same thing. They're set in their spots. They got it set up, stands there, and they're hunting it.
Yep.
And the deer are just avoiding it like the plague. So just keep scouting.
Yep. Yeah, I do that a lot. Like you were saying, scout in season. A lot of times when I'm walking out of the woods, I'm like, I'll see a deer trail and I'll be like, oh, let's see where this goes. Let's follow this trail. When I'm supposed to be walking back to the truck, but I'm like, I want to see where this goes. Like, this might be a new spot I can set up on or whatever. And that's what I like too about like early season, like before the leaves fall and everything gets so crunchy and loud. Like I like doing a lot of that scouting, like those first 2 or 3 weeks of October before leaves start falling and everything dries up and gets loud and crunchy. It's like you said, I like to do scouting during season. So anyway, Johnny, thanks for coming on. Would you like to plug in your socials, where we can find you at? Where can they? I know you have a YouTube channel, I believe, and are you still looking for a camera guy?
Yeah, I've talked to a few guys. I'm not sold on anybody, but yeah, still kind of looking for someone if anybody's interested. But I'm pretty active on Instagram, the Johnny Stewart, and my YouTube is the Johnny Stewart. So check that out. I got a lot of hunts from last year. I'm going to do some more filming this year.
That snow hunt was my favorite.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was awesome. It's been a long time since I had a rifle hunt in the snow. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to do more rifle hunting, even some more inline hunting this year. Check out the Spartan Forge app. We got a lot more UAV imagery, which are aerial photos. They're not satellite images, super clear, man. Most of the whitetail states have them. If you don't, I mean, if you're not using Spartan Forge, you're a serious deer hunter.
Yeah.
You're going to be behind the 8 ball a little bit. So check that out. Use code Johnny if you want it. But yeah, we got a lot of great imagery out there to really zoom in and get clear
Absolutely.
photos of your hunting.
I love that UAV. I used it a lot this weekend. We were scouting, and my buddy was like, I know there's a logging road, but I can't, like, I don't remember where it's at. Like, is it up or below us or whatever? And I'm looking on Spartan Forge, and I had like just the regular map up, like the regular imagery map. And I couldn't find it because the trees, like I kept changing the date, trying to find it, and I couldn't find it. Then I put that UAV up, and you could see in the mountainside where that road was. And I was like, oh, we're, 100 yards below it or whatever. So, and it was really accurate. So, yeah, like you said, Spartan Forge, if you're a serious deer hunter, check it out. It's awesome. I'll never go back to Onyx. It's awesome. I love what Bill's done to it, and it's just keeps getting better. Keeps getting better every time. Every time the update comes out, I'm like, all right, let's see what's new. It's awesome. So
yeah, it is.
Anyway, but thank you for your time, Johnny. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys out at the Timber Ninja booth this weekend. Looking forward to see you guys on Saturday and maybe talk some more scouting. But yeah, thanks for coming on tonight and sharing a little bit of your backwoods wisdom with us.
Yeah, no problem, Seth. Thanks, buddy.